So when the door
to move to
good. So when the door was opened
to the second amendment.
So the amendment, the critical one, is what you discussed with us, has to do with the custodial sentence. You forcefully made the point that should not happen.
Sure. Right, and then that was my first leg in respect of the offender. The second one is you, the journalist. You remember that in 2001, under J. Kufuor's administration, criminal libel law was expunged from our records. We outlawed it because we said, as a country, it's sin against the Constitution, that constitutional provision that allowed for free speech and that protected the media. Umaru, with the greatest respect, forgive me if I get it wrong, I do not think that the media itself has paid due attention, due regard to this bill. Because it is written in ink that if a media house expresses any editorial policy on any issue regarding sexuality, that media house and its members or that media person will be jailed. I don't know whether you've seen it.
That's in consonance with the general, spirit of the bill, which says that if you promote the act, you are as guilty as if you perpetrated the act. So that is what their proponents are pushing. That's in order.
Not only that. What is your editorial policy as a media house? You see, my question is that, my issue is this. If you impose custodial sentence, you are setting the country back to where, as a country, we say, look, a journalist who errs must face a civil liability instead of a criminal consequence. Do you think that it would be appropriate having outlawed criminal libel? In the past, we had a plaintiff could have remedy in tort, and at the same time could rely on the state to invoke that criminal provision on criminal libel. So you may be pursuing a journalist on one leg where there's a civil suit where you're going to get compensated, damages, etc. Then in another breath, the state suing that journalist and saying that your action, that misreporting or that misinformation, that story you wrote about Mr. A amount to, spreading falsehood about him, therefore go to jail for 6 months. My question is, do we want to visit that regime that we ourselves said it was unconstitutional? We may have to be very careful and pay due attention to the issue in Parliament. Look, I am not against the principle, the object of the bill. I've said it time without number. However, if we want to protect our Ghanaian family values, if we want to say that, look, in this country, Ghana, after all, if you go to the Arab, the Gulf area and all, they are clear. This is not part of our culture. So there's nothing wrong with us as a country telling the whole world that, look, for our cultural values, this thing, we don't like it. It's against our culture. It's against everything within our tradition, our body, within our society, against our religion, Christian, Muslim, traditional. We don't like it. Fair enough. That's one. All 275 MPs agree. Now, the second stage is the process of achieving that. How do we solve the problem? Do we solve the problem by making it worse, or we making situations better so that we can achieve the purpose? And that is where we must be careful. And then also those journalists or media houses who may be writing their own editorials or who may be expressing views about it or talking about it, It's not just even talking about, oh, you promoting it, but just mention of it in itself is a crime. And then you don't even tell the judge that, okay, if the person is a first-time offender, do this. You say that either custodial sentence or a fine. You give the judge an option. So if you go to a judge who has a certain conservative thinking, you come in and you know that, oh, I could either impose a fine or take you to prison. Obviously, a very conservative judge with that option would choose the custodial sentence. And I'm saying that is the custodial sentencing the solution. Now, upon making this point known, the next line of my argument suffices, which is the posture of our court for the past 10 years or so. It's been to look at non-custodial sentence. Is the reason why we enacted the plea bargaining act. We used to have plea bargaining in our law books, but we have enacted it differently. A situation where the person can have an opportunity to even pay the state or to even pay some compensation in monetary terms and then, end the whole prosecution. So if that is the thinking of our judiciary, if that is the policy, that look, the nature of our court, the state of our prisons, we want to go this path. Why do we want to deviate? It's basically the point I'm making. Now, I also argue that, look, in place of the custodial sentence, let us introduce a community service. A community service. The community service would provide a platform, apart from the whatever form of community service the judge will impose, there would be a platform, again, for mandatory counseling. So the mandatory counseling, if you look at my proposal, I am saying that we should have a clinical psychologist to chair that committee. We should have a chief in the person's community, an opinion leader, a member from the clergy or an imam, a respected Islamic cleric, and the person can be taken through all of these. Now, isn't people's sexuality a form of behavior? It is their behavior. It's a lifestyle. Somebody would say, well, maybe it has to do with some medical or some what's the word? I've forgotten. Somebody says I was born with it and all that. Now the point is that if we take the person to his home, would we get the solution from there?
Okay,
that is where I use the personal example of, I don't know whether you've had the benefit of visiting a prison. You are a law student. I don't know whether
we've discussed it last week. You gave that example. So my point is that you appeared, you were in the chamber today. You advanced these arguments, but when it came to it, you lost the motion, didn't you?
No, but we only did one motion.
No, I'm saying that the specific one on the custodial, you lost that vote, didn't you?
I'm saying that we started with one motion. We have not finished. I mean, the house was adjourned.
Oh, so there's still a possibility that the custodial sentence would be
you see, there's something about lawmaking.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about lawmaking. I don't think we'll get all the time to discuss all. You see, we have something called winnowing. Okay? And we discuss, find it is okay, build consensus. When we left the chamber, for instance, some colleagues, who are part of the sponsors, have suggested that, okay, leader, if you do it this way, we would be in agreement. If this comes, that's okay.